Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. It's time for morning devotions. We're going to pick up our reading this morning in First Kings chapter 6. First Kings chapter 6, reading out of the Legacy Standard Bible. If you do not have your own copy of that translation, it is a new translation. Open up a second window. Don't close this one or you'll be reading alone. Open up a second window, type read, R-E-A-D, .lsbible.org, read.lsbible.org. Type 1 Kings 6 in the search window, click enter, and it'll take you right to the text. Follow along, and when you get to the end of the chapter, just click on the right arrow at the bottom of the page, and it'll take you over to 1 Kings chapter 7. Maria, good morning. Dale, good evening. Yes, Roxy. Roxy, there she is. She's up in the realm right now, surveying the realm. Roxy, hey, hi. Yeah, say hi to your peoples. Hello, good morning. So, Bill, good morning. So I got testimony to share with y'all from yesterday's work outside of the Taboo nightclub in Cedar Rapids, where mass shooting took place. In fact, I really haven't seen anything. Looking for an update here. So the victims' names have been released. That was as of 18 hours ago. 25-year-old man and a 35-year-old woman were the two that were killed, apparently. Maria, you said they have one in custody?
Yes.
So Maria was telling me they have one. My Maria was telling me that there is one in custody. They believe there are more than one shooter. There was more than one shooter. And so I will talk to you. I will share with you after we're done reading what the Lord did out there in Cedar Rapids yesterday while I was out there for 4 hours on the corner. Literally a stone's throw away from the front door of that building. No, I'll tell you, no. Patrick, what happened? You're going to get another notice for this. What happened is our Wi-Fi is not working well at the church, and so I used my phone. We do a live feed for the rest of the church family, the moms and those who aren't able to make it to the study, and it was set to public, and so I've since changed that setting. But yeah, you would have gotten a notification for this morning's men's Bible study because again, our Wi-Fi is glitching, and so I used my cell phone data and recorded it live on the phone so the rest of the church could see that. So that's what happened. It was actually Pastor Tyler in front of the camera. Pastor Tyler was leading the Bible study today. So we were in Proverbs 15:1. Very good conversation about how a soft word turns away wrath. So, but yeah, there should be a new notification going out for this morning's Bible reading. So the plans for today are to, well, I mean, it's not Chicago. Chicago had, I think, 27 shooting victims this weekend, which is about average, or maybe even below average for Chicago. I think 6 or 7 people were killed and 20 plus were wounded in Chicago, just because it's Chicago. So it's not like Chicago. I don't know if Cedar Rapids. I don't know what. Let me get some stats here on Cedar Rapids. Hi, Roxy, baby girl. She's yes. She wants some scratches. Yes. Do you want some scratches? Do you want some scratches? Come here. Come here. Come here. Here we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So Cedar Rapids is bigger than Davenport. Davenport is 90 to 100,000. Cedar Rapids is 132,000. So it is a bigger city than Davenport. So you would have whatever crime levels you would have in a community that size, I would say. Well, a mass shooting like this, while they're becoming more frequent nationally, yeah, that's not something certainly that happens every day in Cedar Rapids. Hi, hello, hello, hello. Yes, yes, you're a good girl. Yes. Oh, she's giving me those doe eyes, huh? Aren't you? Yeah, yeah. Um, hmm. All right. Well, I don't know where everybody is. Did anybody get notification for this for morning devotions? Well, my computer is being kind of funky right now. Be with you in just a second. There we go. All right. So Patrick, Bill, Maria all got notification. Does Roxy give kisses? Yes, she does. Yes, she does. All right. All right. So let's get started. Looks like we're just going to be a small group today. All those hooky players on Tuesday. Um, We're going to begin our reading in 1 Kings chapter 6. 1 Kings chapter 6. Something is bouncing around now. Weird. So today's plan is to work on video. Work on video from Cedar Rapids primarily. I did go fishing yesterday afternoon. It was kind of comical. I'll tell you a little bit about that. So I'm going to work on video primarily today. Last over the last 2 days, ministry wise, I've driven about 530 miles, put in about 18 hours between driving and ministry, and so I want to get caught up a little bit today on that. We're expecting some nasty weather tonight, possible tornadoes, um, large hail, uh, squall, force winds. Typical day in Iowa. And um, and I was told about a fishing spot that I've never tried, close close to home. And I just looked at it on a map a little while ago, and I don't know if it's private property or not, but I'm gonna go find out. So ah, yeah, it's supposed to hit us. It's supposed to hit us hard after midnight. We're on an alert from midnight through Wednesday. So midnight tonight through Wednesday. So all right. So we will read beginning in First Kings chapter 6, and then I will talk to you a little bit about what the Lord did in Cedar Rapids, and I might give you a chuckle or two um, about the fishing I did yesterday, and I think the video. Yeah, there'll be some funny spots in the video once I get where that worked out. So, all right, let's begin our time in a word of prayer, and we will get started. Father in heaven, blessed be your holy name. And Father, you do indeed allow the rain to fall on the just and the unjust alike. You are good when it's warm and sunny. You are good when it's freezing cold and snowing. You are good when tornadoes roll through the land. You are good in the midst of any kind of weather. You are the God who creates the weather. We do not have weather unless you have determined what it will be. Lord, you did not simply create and then remove your hand. You are not the creator who simply made and then walked away. Your providence governs everything, Father, including the weather, and you are good. Father, as we read now about Solomon's efforts to build the temple, I pray, Father, that you would help us to focus our attention on your word, that we would find joy in reading the details of building your temple, knowing ultimately that Christ is the temple, and that in the new kingdom there will be no need of any kind for there is not now any need for sacrifices. The killing of animals is a denial of for sacrificial purposes is a denial of the Messiah who has come and who reigns now as we speak, who reigns supreme and who is ultimately the temple. As we read about the building of Solomon's temple, as it is called, we are seeing mere foreshadowings of the true temple to come, and that is Christ. And it is him that we worship, and it's in his name that we pray. Amen. Morning, Rhonda. All right. 1 Kings chapter 6, God's word tells us this. Now it happened in the 480th year after the sons of Israel came out of the land of Egypt, in the fourth year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Ziv, which is the second month, that he began to build the house of Yahweh. As for the house which King Solomon built for Yahweh, its length was 60 cubits, and its width 20 cubits, and its height 30 cubits. And the porch in front of the nave of the house was 20 cubits in length, corresponding to the width of the house, and its depth all along the front of the house was 10 cubits. Also, for the house, he made windows with artistic frames. And he built against the wall of the house stories encompassing the walls of the house around both the nave and the inner sanctuary. Thus he made side chambers all around. The lower story was 5 cubits wide, and the middle was 6 cubits wide, and the third was 7 cubits wide. For on the outside he made offsets in the wall of the house all around, in order that the beams would not be inserted in the walls of the house. The house, while it was being built, was built of stone prepared at the quarry. And there was neither hammer nor axe nor any iron tool heard in the house while it was being built. What? Pardon me, sorry about that. The doorway for the lowest side chamber was on the right side of the house, and they would go up by winding stairs to the middle story, and from the middle to the third. So he built the house and completed it, and he paneled the house with beams and planks of cedar. He also built the stories against the whole house, each 5 cubits high, and they were fastened to the house with timbers of cedar. And the word of Yahweh came to Solomon, saying, concerning this house which you are building, if you will walk in my statutes and do my judgments and keep all my commandments by walking in them, then I will establish my word with you, which I spoke to David your father. And I will dwell among the sons of Israel and will not forsake my people Israel. So Solomon built the house and completed it. Then he built the walls of the house on the inside with boards of cedar. From the floor of the house to the ceiling, he overlaid the walls on the inside with wood, and he overlaid the floor of the house with boards of cypress. And he built 20 cubits on the rear part of the house with boards of cedar from the floor to the ceiling. He built them for it on the inside as an inner sanctuary, as the Holy of Holies. And the house, that is, the nave in front of the inner sanctuary, was 40 cubits long. And there was cedar on the house within, carved in the shape of gourds and open flowers, all was cedar. There was no stone seen. Then he prepared an inner sanctuary within the house in order to place the ark of the covenant of Yahweh. Now the inner sanctuary was 20 cubits in length, 20 cubits in width, 20 cubits in height, and he overlaid it with pure gold. He also overlaid the altar with cedar. So Solomon overlaid the inside of the house with pure gold, and he drew chains of gold across the front of the inner sanctuary, and he overlaid it with gold. So he overlaid the whole house with gold until all the house was finished. Also, the whole altar, which was by the inner sanctuary, he overlaid with gold. Also, in the inner sanctuary, he made two cherubim of olive wood, each 10 cubits high, and 5 cubits was the one wing of the cherub, and 5 cubits the other wing of the cherub. From the end of one wing to the end of the other wing were 10 cubits. The other cherub was also 10 cubits. Both the cherubim were of the same measure and the same form. The height of the one cherub was 10 cubits, and so was the other cherub. And he put the cherubim in the midst of the inner house, and the wings of the cherubim were spread out, so that the wings of the one was touching the one wall, and the wings of the other cherub was touching the other wall, and their wings were touching each other in the center of the house. He also overlaid the cherubim with gold. Then he carved all the walls of the house round about with carved engravings of cherubim, palm trees, open flowers from within the inner and outer sanctuaries. And he overlaid the floor of the house with gold in the inner and outer sanctuaries. For the entrance of the inner sanctuary, he made doors of olive wood, the lintel, and 5 sided doorposts. So he made two doors of olive wood, and he carved on the carvings of cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold, and he spread the gold on the cherubim and on the palm trees. So also he made for the entrance of the nave 4 sided doorposts of olive wood, and two doors of cypress wood. And the two leaves of the one door turned on pivots, and the two leaves of the other door turned on pivots. And he carved on it cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and he overlaid them with gold evenly applied on the engraved work. And he built the inner court with 3 rows of cut stone and a row of cedar beams. In the fourth year, the foundation of the house of Yahweh was laid in the month of Ziv. Now, in the 11th year, in the month of Bul, which is the 8th month, the house was completed throughout all its parts and according to all its plans. So he built it in 7 years. Chapter 7. Now Solomon built his own house 13 years, and he completed all his house. And he built the house of the forest of Lebanon. Its length was 100 cubits, and its width 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits, on 4 rows of cedar pillars with cedar beams on the pillars. And it was paneled with cedar above the side chambers, which were on the 45 pillars, 15 in each row. Now there were artistic window frames in 3 rows, and window was opposite window in 3 ranks, and all the doorways and the doorposts and squared artistic frames, and window was opposite window in 3 ranks. Then he made the hall of pillars in its length was 50 cubits, and its width 30 cubits, and the porch was in front of them, and pillars and a threshold in front of them. And he made the hall of the throne where he was to judge, the hall of judgment, and it was paneled with cedar from floor to floor. Now his house where he was to live, the other court inward from the hall, was of the same workmanship. He also made a house like this hall for Pharaoh's daughter, whom Solomon had married. All these were of precious stones, of stone cut according to measure, sawed with saws, inside and outside, even from the foundation to the coping, and so on the outside to the great court. And the foundation was of precious stones, even large stones of 10 cubits and stones of 8 cubits. And above were precious stones, stone cut according to measure and cedar. So the great court all around had 3 rows of cut stone and a row of cedar beams, even as the inner court of the house of Yahweh and the porch of the house. Then King Solomon sent and brought Hiram from Tyre. He was a widow's son from the tribe of Naphtali, and his father was a man of Tyre, a worker in bronze. And he was filled with wisdom and discernment and knowledge to do any work in bronze. So he came to King Solomon and did all his work. And he fashioned the 2 pillars of bronze. 18 cubits was the height of one pillar, and the line of 12 cubits, and a line of 12 cubits measured the circumference of both. He also made 2 capitals of molten bronze to set on the tops of the pillars. The height of the one capital was 5 cubits, and the height of the other capital was 5 cubits. There were nets of network and twisted threads of chain work for the capitals, which were on the top of the pillars, 7 for the one capital and 7 for the other capital. So he made the pillars and 2 rows round on the one network to cover the capitals, which were on the top of the pomegranates. And so he did for the other capital. Now the capitals, which were on the top of the pillars in the porch, were of lily design, 4 cubits. And there were capitals on the 2 pillars, even right above the rounded protection, which was on the one side of the network, and the pomegranates numbered 200 in rows around both capitals. Thus he set up the pillars at the porch of the nave, and he set up the right pillar in the name of and he named it Jachin. And he set up the left pillar and named it Boaz. And on the top of the pillars was lily design. So the work of the pillars was finished. And he made the sea of cast metal 10 cubits from brim to brim, circular in form, and its height was 5 cubits and 30 cubits in its circumference. Now under its brim gourds went around and circled it 10 to a cubit, entirely encircling the sea. The gourds were in 2 rows, cast with the sea when it was cast. It stood on 12 oxen, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing south, and 3 facing east. And the sea was set on top of them, and all their rear parts turned inward. And it was a handbreadth thick, and its brim was made like the brim of a cup, as a lily blossom. It could hold 2,000 baths. He then made 10 stands of bronze. The length of each stand was 4 cubits, and its width 4 cubits, and its height 3 cubits. Now this was the workmanship of the stands. They had borders, even borders between the frames. And on the borders, which were between the frames, were lions, oxen, and cherubim. And on the frames there was a pedestal above. And beneath the lions and oxen were wreaths of hanging work. Now each stand had 4 bronze wheels with bronze axles, and its 4 feet had supports. Beneath the laver were cast supports with wreaths at each side. And its opening inside the capital at the top was a cubit, and its opening was round like the workmanship of a pedestal, a cubit and a half. And also on its opening there were engravings, and their borders were square, not round. And the 4 wheels were underneath the borders, and the axles of the wheels were on the stand, and the height of the wheels was a cubit and a half. Now the workmanship of the wheels was like the workmanship of chariot wheels, of a chariot wheel. Their axles, their rims, their spokes, and their hubs were all cast. Now there were four supports at the four corners of each stand, and its supports were part of the stand itself. And on the top of the stand there was a circular form, half a cubit high, and on the top of the stand its stays and its borders were part of it. And he engraved on the plates of its stays and on its borders cherubim, lions, and palm trees, according to the cedar space on each, with wreaths all around. He made the 10 stands like this, all of them, and had one casting, one measure, and one form. He also made 10 lavers of bronze, one laver holding 40 baths. Each laver was 4 cubits, and on each of the 10 stands was one laver. Then he set the stands, 5 on the right side of the house and 5 on the left side of the house, and he set the sea of cast metal on the right side of the house eastward toward the south. And Hiram made the lavers and the shovels of the bowls. So Hiram completed doing all the work that he did for King Solomon in the house of Yahweh. The two pillars and the two bowls of the capitals, which were on the top of the two pillars, and the two networks to cover the two bowls of the capitals, which were on the top of the pillars, and the 400 pomegranates for the two networks, 2 rows of pomegranates for each network to cover the two bowls of the capitals, which were on the top of the pillars, and the 10 stands with the 10 lavers on the stands, and the one sea and 12 oxen under the sea, and the pots and the shovels and the bowls and all these utensils which Hiram made for King Solomon in the house of Yahweh were of polished bronze. On the plain of the Jordan, the king cast them in the clay ground between Succoth and Zerathon. And Solomon left all the utensils unweighed because they were too many. The weight of the bronze could not be found. Solomon also made all the furniture which was in the house of Yahweh, the golden altar and the golden table on which was the bread of the presence, and the lampstand, 5 on the right side and 5 on the left, in front of the inner sanctuary, of pure gold, and the flowers and lamps and the tongs of gold, and the cups and the snuffers and the bowls and the spoons, and the fire pans of pure gold, and the hinges both for the doors of the inner house, the holy of holies, and for the doors of the house, that is, of the nave, of gold. Thus all the work that King Solomon did in the house of Yahweh was finished. And Solomon brought in the things set apart as holy by his father David, the silver and the gold and the utensils, and he put them in the treasuries of the house of Yahweh. All right, we're going to stop there today. Chapter 8 is another pretty long one. And we will pick up our reading in 1 Kings chapter 8 tomorrow morning at our regular time. Excuse me for a second. Tom, good morning. Chris, good morning. You leaving? Well, you usually give me a kiss. Well, I'm going to continue talking about yesterday in Cedar Rapids.
Oh,
So if you're going to kiss me now.
oh, okay.
Hmm? Ooh, whoa, bowled me over. How's it going? All right, have a good day, sweetheart. You going to be home your regular time?
I
Probably.
that's a variable right now,
Oh,
based off of that information.
why does that affect your work?
Because if I get a call saying that they can do it today,
Oh, there's a chance of that?
they're
Okay,
trying to
you can
work
film
it
me.
out.
All right, okay, great. All right. Yeah, I'm reading the Legacy Standard. Oh, Maria's sighting. Wait. Come back. My hand was in the way. Hurry. No. It's kind of Kilroy. There you go. There, full. There you go. Maria's sighting. The crowd goes wild. I know I do.
Not quite.
Well, I do. So I'm reading out of the Legacy Standard Bible. It's a new translation, just published end of 2021. And it's basically an update of the New American Standard Bible. That's what we're reading this year. This is our 6th year of reading through the entire Bible. And we've read through several different translations. And the Legacy Standard Bible is what we're reading today. So there you go. All right. So yesterday out at Cedar Rapids. Again, if you're joining us late, I went out to Cedar Rapids yesterday, which is about 78 miles from my door. Yes, she is. Thank you, Maria. From my door to where I stood on the corner of 5th and 3rd in Cedar Rapids is about 80 miles and northwest of me. And the reason I was out there again is maybe you've heard, if you follow any kind of news outlets, it did make national news. There was a mass shooting at a nightclub called Taboo, the Taboo nightclub in Cedar Rapids. Two people were killed, a 25-year-old man and a 35-year-old woman, and at least 10 others wounded. And I heard from locals yesterday that there might be as many as 20 or more injured. A lot of those injuries came not from gunfire, but I believe there were at least 10 wounded by gunfire, in addition to the two who were killed. But there were another dozen or so injured as the people stampeded out of the nightclub running for safety. The nightclub is located in a basement of a building, so they would have to have had to run upstairs, up a flight of stairs to get to the street. So, and in talking to some of the locals there yesterday, they say that that place is a problem. That there are fights there most weekends, and those fights spill out into the streets. It's not uncommon for the police to be there. Um, uh, More than one person said to me as they were walking by and receiving tracts that, yeah, they really need to close that place down. So, so hopefully I'm sure, I'm sure the city of Cedar Rapids is looking into what it is they can or cannot do regarding that establishment. So that's why I was out in Cedar Rapids yesterday. Um, did morning devotions with you all from the parking structure there. Yesterday morning was on the corner of Third and Fifth. If you saw the picture I posted requesting prayer from Instagram, the building in the background uh, of in the direction that the camera is pointing is the building where that event took place. I was there on the corner for 4 hours from 8 to noon. The Lord was very gracious. Probably 30 to 40 people received gospel tracts, I'm estimating. Three people asked for Bibles and received them. Had two really good gospel conversations. Um, was able to put the gospel into the hand of at least one uh, Cedar Rapids PD investigator. I tracted the cars. They were still working the crime scene. So I tracted the cars that were parked outside of the crime scene as I was leaving. And I had a wonderful opportunity to encourage a young pastor. He's about to take on the role of youth and outreach pastor at a church um, in the Cedar Rapids area. And he stopped to talk to me. He was in town, I guess, meeting someone for lunch and saw me there and asked me if I was familiar with his favorite Bible teacher. Oh, who's that? His name's John MacArthur. Oh yeah, I heard of that guy. He was surprised when I told him we were members of John MacArthur's church for a few years before moving to Iowa, but he was looking for encouragement. Um, he talked to another church in the area. Um, didn't seem like they were able to encourage him much. Was just told that yeah, Cedar Rapids is a tough nut to crack, and so he was looking for encouragement and advice regarding doing public evangelism now that he's going to be responsible for that at his church. So that was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity as well. The media was out there, local media was out there. The only one who talked to me was a young man named Jeff, who's a photojournalist for a local paper. He got a gospel tract and he took a bunch of pictures of the signs. I'm hoping I'm hoping the pictures of the signs get published in the paper because that's going to help to further the gospel potentially. I haven't seen any indication of that yet. So it was a good 4 hours there. Really, uh, really good time of ministry there. Was very thankful to the Lord uh, to allow me that time out there and to allow so many people to receive the gospel. So praise God for that. So it's about 100, 160-mile round trip. Got home um, and uh, and headed right back out, right back out. But this time fishing for fish. And um, uh, you'll have to watch the video. So I'm not going to tell you everything, but it was a little bit of comedy. The um, So I finished fishing. I probably caught 20 bluegill or so and a nice sized crappie. So it was a good day of fishing. And there was a family on the opposite side of the lake. It's not a big lake, and there were a few other people fishing. I called out to everybody, "Hey, is anybody keeping fish? I'll give you whatever I catch." And nobody wanted the fish, but one the dad of the family said, "Hey, but my kids would love to see the fish." So I filled a bucket with water and I kept like four of the better sized bluegill. Kept them on water so that they would live. I'd be able to throw them back, um, and so the plan was to finish fishing and drive over to the other side of the lake, and so the kids could see these fish. I was looking forward to doing that, but in God's providence, I walked back up to the car and I reached into my pocket to grab my keys and felt nothing, and looked into the car and saw my keys sitting on the back seat of the car. So I had to call AAA to come out to the lake to let me back into my car, and got there in short order. It was they got there very in a very timely way. And then I by the time though that all happened, I drove around the other side of the lake. The family had given up on fishing and they left. So kids didn't get to see the fish, and so I just dumped the four fish I had back into the lake, and they all swam away and to be caught by Tony or someone else another day. So it was a good day of fishing. I was told about a spot. This body of water doesn't even have a name, so I don't know if it's a private pond or not. But I'm going to go over there and see if there's any signs or anything to indicate that it's private property. Might try that out later on this afternoon. But main course of action today is to work on video from Cedar Rapids. I want to get that video posted. It's probably going to be a longer video, and I probably won't chalk talk it much. Um, just let the video stand on its own, and I'm probably going to put at least all the gospel conversations together in that one video. Make it more of a compilation video, and so yeah, so that's the plan. So, all right. Well, that's all I got for you folks. Hey, I hope you have a blessed day in the Lord today, as always, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow morning. Have a great day.